Welcome to Real Estate on the Rocks, where you get top shelf real estate conversations served straight up, never watered down. Here's your host, Dave Snowberger.
All right, welcome back to Real Estate on the Rocks. I'm your host, Dave Snowberger, and I'm joined on the phone today with Megan Jumago-Simpson out of Portland, Oregon. We've got a mega agent on the phone, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her, just her career and everything she's got going on up there in Portland. So, Megan, hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great today. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're trying to work out some technical bugs over here. However, it looks like we've got it going. So let's go ahead and get started. Portland, Oregon. Tell me about how long have you lived in Portland?
Portland. I actually grew up here in the area. I moved away for about 10 years in my early 20s, or through college in my early 20s, and moved back in 2013 and jumped straight into real estate at that time.
Okay, so you've been a realtor now since 2013, huh?
Since 2013, so yeah, just about 6 years now.
Wow. Seems like a lifetime, doesn't it?
It's awesome. Oh, yeah, it does, especially because I grew up in the industry, so a second-generation realtor, and so it really has been a lifetime. I've been around it for about 25 years.
Okay. Have you been with Keller Williams the whole time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I have been. I started my career there, and yeah, no problem. I started my career there, and just really love the community that we've formed in our office and just the network throughout the country.
Perfect. Are you more of a solo agent, or are you on a team, or do you have a team?
Yeah, so I am a solo agent. I actually in November hired my first full-time assistant, Emily, and she is a godsend. She's really done incredible things for my business, and it was definitely something that I was working up for a while. Went from that kind of solo agent to solo agent with a contracted transaction coordinator, and just as my business was growing, I realized I needed somebody who's on the ground a little bit more and in the office more as I was out in the field with clients and meetings.
Certainly. That was one of the best decisions I ever made, was to go with the admin route. I had tried to build a team a few times, and it kind of crashed and burned. And when I finally realized that I had to do it the right way is when it started paying dividends. So very smart move on your end. So tell me a little bit about...
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Tell me a little bit about, kind of what's it look like up there in Portland? I mean, are you working with more buyers, sellers, investors, everybody?
Everybody and anybody. My business typically year over year is about 40% sellers, 60% buyers, so a little heavier on the buy side. Portland is a huge relocation destination for people kind of throughout the country, and especially coming up from California, because it's the least expensive larger city on the West Coast, and we also still have water. So we're really trying to sell the greenery up here, and just lifestyle is really easy. So
I bet.
Working with lots of new buyers coming up, and it's a lot of fun to get to explore the city and show it to people and see it through fresh eyes all the time. Yeah.
Portland always, when it gets explained to me kind of like that, it hits kind of close to what we do here in Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas has been one of those places that's had explosive growth, just like Portland has. And so I certainly understand that. And sometimes we want to more take the route of the seller's agents. However, a lot of times it's harder to get that. So the buyers seems to be always readily available. I'd say there's probably 100 plus people a day here moving. How about up there?
Yeah, it's about the same kind of metrics. I think moving into the last thing that I saw, we had about 118 people moving into Oregon every day, and then Portland area is about 75 to 80 of that. So Most everybody's headed to the Portland area when they come up.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
or down or over.
Yeah, down or over, coming from all over, huh?
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So we already discussed a little bit about when you got into real estate. I believe it was back in 2013, correct?
Yep.
So what made that an easy transition for you? I know that you had done some other things. You were a project manager in public relations for a company out of Shanghai, China, huh?
Yeah, so I lived in China for about 4 years after finishing up at university, worked in event management and PR, did a whole lot of traveling at that time period. It's just awesome to explore the world and make lots of lifelong friends, and really kind of figured out it was time to time to settle down back home. Got home, was figuring things out, wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And my dad had been selling real estate for about 22 years here in the Portland area. So I'd always been around it. And to be perfectly honest, I did not want to get into real estate. I think a lot of kids who grew up around real estate think it's pretty time consuming and terrible. So I had that kind of misconception. And my dad was like, well, hey, why don't you come into the office with me? No one's paying you to watch Food Network at home. And so started working alongside him, really got into it. A couple months later, got my real estate license, and then really kind of took over the reins of his business. And he kind of stepped into the background as a mentor and doing some client side things, but really more just advising for a couple of years. And it worked out incredibly well for us. My family always jokes that my dad played the best slow game ever because nobody ever thought I would do it. And here we are today, 6 years in, and I can't imagine any other career. So it worked out really well. I give him a lot of credit for that.
Nice. That's fantastic. It's always good to follow in those footsteps. Yeah. My dad was in the Army, and I said no thanks to that. So he said, follow in my footsteps. I said, no, I can't do that.
Gotta go, bye.
Yeah, exactly. I'll wing it over here. But okay, so
yeah,
you decided that real estate was for you. So tell me, how long did it take you really to get things going? Did you feel that you had it a little bit easier that your dad had been in real estate for 22 years? So when you got in, did you come in with those expectations? Well, my dad did it, so I can do it, and was there any kind of reality that took over and said, oh, this is a little bit harder than it looks? Or what was the road just kind of paved for you?
I definitely think I had a leg up on people who come in just with a blank slate. Early on in my career, I was exposed to everything from investment flips, multi-million-dollar deals, land deals, first-time home buyers. So I really saw a huge swath of what real estate can do early on, and that helped pique my interest and keep me interested. And so that was a big piece of it, and why I was like, oh, I really do want to do this. But it was definitely harder than I thought it would be, because my dad had been doing this for a long time. He had this great network. Everybody knew him. All of his clients trusted him. He really built up that rapport. So as he started to step back, some of his clients were just like, we worked with Ralph. We're not sure about working with Megan. And as much as he was like, she has my full support, she's probably better at this than I am. That took a lot of adjustment to get some of his longtime clients to transition over, but it's like a good problem to have. So it really made me hone my skills and get better at the practice of real estate and get better at those harder conversations when people are kind of challenging you when you're younger or newer. And they're just like, well, you're not a old man. Like, how do you know what you're talking about? So you really have to kind of gauge what your skill set is. And mine is very different from my dad's as well. Like, he worked in construction for decades before getting into real estate, and I can use a hammer sometimes. So it's much more of I come from a reading people. I have a sociology and anthropology background. So a lot more of kind of the people side of things than the, especially at the beginning, the basic knowledge of houses.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Oh, it does. It does. That was exactly what I was looking for. So when did you feel that maybe there was a shift? You came in, when we all start out, we first get our license, then we get kind of thrown into the wolves, and it seems like you had like you said, a leg up on people, because you had a dad that, kind of showed you the way a little bit, or said, I wouldn't do that. I would do this instead. Yeah. And how I usually handle that stuff when I got advice was like, oh, I can do this. I can handle it myself. When did you finally realize that maybe, that your dad was correct? Did you go right in off the bat thinking like, I'm going to follow his advice to a T and that's what's going to do it? Or did you try it your way at first and then kind of loosen up a little bit and like, you know what, dad's right. I'm going to start following the ways he was able to be successful for 22 years.
Yeah. So, neither one of us have ever been wrong. So there's a lot of butting of heads in the beginning of like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I literally had no idea what I was doing. But kind of 6 months in, and I was like, oh, I should really be listening because he actually is good at this and knows what he's talking about. So his patience helped a lot with kind of me getting more comfortable with it. And then probably within a year and a half, I was taking all of the meetings. I was leading the meetings. I was just really diving into it and also realizing that I needed to be doing more lead generation because we had a lot of leads. But as my dad was looking at retiring more, it was kind of, the bucket was shrinking a bit. And so I finally realized, oh my gosh, lead generation is a huge part of real estate, which I'd somehow missed that for a while.
Don't we all?
We had a good database. We were busy. And then, I started being more proficient and doing stuff on my own. And I was like, well, where is everybody? So probably within a year and a half, I realized like I have the technical skills that I need. So here's when I got to start building really my own business and my value proposition.
Very nice. Okay. Well, drilling in right there about how you were able to, start this, with your lead gen, over here, what we do is we kind of followed the 5 basics of what I think our job description is: lead generate, lead follow up, go on appointments, negotiate contracts, and practice scripts and role play. So typically that's what we do. How's that look for you over there? I mean, what's a day with Megan like if I was just to shadow you for, Monday morning?
Yeah, day with Megan is, in a perfect world, getting up at 6 o'clock, getting myself like rocking and rolling, leaving by about 6:50 because Portland has terrible traffic, but there's like these weird gaps where you'll miss it all. So if I leave my house by 6:50 or 7, then I am in the office in 15 minutes. If I don't, it's 45 minutes. So I'm definitely kind of an early start to the day kind of gal because otherwise I sit in traffic and it puts me in a bad mood, and you know how that goes. Oh, yeah. I'm in the office by 7:15, 7:30 every day. My assistant's usually in there before me or shortly thereafter. We feel super productive when we get in the morning. Being in there that early also means it's super quiet. So I have time to take care of things I didn't want to do last night. Every morning we sit down and review the end of day that she put together the day before, and just make sure all of the leads that we need to be following up with are followed up with appropriately. We know where everyone's at in each contract and transaction. We know where listings are standing, what the showing feedback was like each and every day. So it gives us just a really good time when it's quiet before other people are getting into the office and meeting us, which I really enjoy that time. I find it very peaceful. And it also means by like 9:30 or 10, I've gotten the tasks done that I need to get done for the day. So then I'm really freed up for showings and meetings and lunches and just putting myself in places where I'm going to meet new clients. And that's actually this kind of new coaching program our office has been discussing and like coaching on a whole lot is putting yourself in proximity to people who want to buy and sell real estate. And those are new people that you do not already know. So yes, I have a list of people that I go through and I call every day, from past clients to people in my sphere, just checking in. And then every day, or at least 3 or 4 times a week, I'm going out to places where there will be people that I haven't met before. So I'm golfing a lot more than I used to, which is really fun because I didn't used to golf at all. But like, I'm going to places where there are people who I don't know and that I could get to work with in the future to just build like those relationships. So it's a little bit of an alternative look at your typical, like, here's how you do lead generation, but it's much more authentic to who I am and how I actually want to be living my life. Like, I'll go to yoga at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday just because I'm like, okay, I don't have anything going on. I might as well go do something I enjoy rather than sitting in the office kind of waiting for something to fall into my lap. Because I think we can all get into that mode where you're like, well, if I'm in the office, it means I'm working.
Right.
And if you're anything like me, sometimes you're in the office and all of a sudden an hour and a half later, you're like, well, I know everything about that one person from high school on Facebook, but I didn't do anything that was good for me or good for my business. So I'm just really enjoying that kind of new perspective on how to do my real estate practice.
Very smart. That is one of I mean, that's that's really how it has to be. What you described right there is the actual perfect scenario for new agents coming into the business that really don't get this. And I think even agents returning to the business, or even I always call them the grizzled vets, that want to disagree and they think that work is really opening your laptop and then shuffling paperwork from one side to the other, and then maybe working on your logo, or like you were mentioning a second ago, Facebook. They just don't really know what the work entails. And so I always tell people in kicking off their careers, I do some coaching here and there for real estate wise, and tell them is like, get out and meet more people. I started over at Orange Theory instead of golfing. I would love to golf more. However, none of my friends golf, but right there just proves the point that I shouldn't be golfing with my friends anyway. So, but I do that with Orange Theory in the morning. As I head over to Orange Theory, about 4 times a week at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then I do 2 days a week at 7 o'clock. So I get to hit, people are creatures of habit. So they go to the same classes over and over. So I doubled by taking on the 2 other classes at 7 o'clock, I've doubled my relationships, I guess you'd say.
Yep.
And so it gives me a better opportunity to meet more people. And so that's what I try to tell people coming into this, is just what you explained, was get out and meet more people. This is a contact sport, and so the more people that you realize, or the more people you bring into your sphere, the more people that know, like, and trust you, the more deals you're going to be able to do, and so you don't have to work the 7 days a week. You don't have to kill yourself at 24 hours a day.
No, you don't have to be like sitting down calling expires and says those if you don't want to be.
Right.
Like, there's a lot more other people out there in the world who have real estate plans. You just need to run into them and put yourself in a place where you have likability and proximity.
Right. And I know that referral business for you is pretty big, because I know that Marshall Tucker is a big part of my team. He's a sales manager on my team, and he has built this incredible referral business around the country that I never thought he would do, because he was kind of that introvert. So he wasn't really ever reaching out. And I challenged him a few years back to start doing more things. Look for agent to agent referrals. He's got that name, that notoriety with that name, that Marshall Tucker name, that just people automatically think like they know you because it's a celebrity type of name. However, I know that he's involved with you, right? I mean, you have a pretty big referral game.
Yeah, my referral game is pretty solid, I have to say. My business, last year I closed 40 transactions. 16 of those were from agent to agent referrals.
Nice.
So it's a pretty big percentage of my business. I've been super fortunate in going to events like Family Reunion and other big real estate events, but I've just met great people who are very active on Facebook and very active within some of those Facebook groups where a lot of people are looking for resources. And we've just been able to kind of stay in touch. I have a small group that we mastermind with almost daily, who are either on teams like Marshall or solo agents like myself, but everybody kind of runs into the same issues. And you're like, how do you solve this? Like, how do you work through this? Ran into this issue with a client. How would you have done it? I know how I'd handle it. So it's great to do that with people who aren't necessarily in my market center, because it kind of becomes an echo chamber, because, running into the same problems that you see in Portland all the time, and hearing it from other perspectives is amazing. And then just having friends in excellent areas. It's really fun to be able to send a referral to somebody that you like, know, and trust, and believe that they will take just as good care, if not better, than you would yourself, of somebody that is important to you.
Yeah. And I have to say that I know Marshall, like I said, speaks highly of you. And then I see Marshall go above and beyond for, the reason how he's been able to do that. When I see his name get recommended out there for Austin, Texas, against some pretty big names. I mean, you've got, say Wendy Papazan is in our market, right? And so that's Jay Papazan's.
You may have heard of her.
Right. So it just kind of like she chimes in and, there's some other big names that come in here, and Marshall gets the referral. And I'm flabbergasted and just impressed, and just I just love what he is with you guys, created this cool little thing that I haven't been able to break into. I go in there, and people that know me throw me in there 2 or 3 times. Marshall's in there 15 times, and it's because he's taken such great care of clients. And I'm sure it's the same with you, and being able to keep this going like that. That's just awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, we have some pretty big names. Ben Kinney has an expansion team here. Craig Rieger and Cody Gibson are based out of Portland and have really big teams in the area. So yeah, as a solo agent, I think it's because I'm a solo agent a lot of the times that people are like, oh, when I refer Megan, it is Megan who is getting referred to. Megan, who I know, who I've had a beer with her too, who we sang karaoke with in New Orleans. Like that is the person my clients are going to get, or that is the person that I am recommending because I know that she is a great realtor, but also a really good, fun person and is doing this for the right reasons. Right.
And we actually notate that a lot of times. We see that referral come in and people throw my name out there and I automatically say, hey, that's great. However, Marshall Tucker is my guy on my team that handles all referrals. So if you know Marshall, you're going to get Marshall, because if you send it my way, chances are that I'm going to have to give it to Marshall or one of the other guys on my team, somebody else on the team. And so I love having Marshall right there. So I can always deflect to him and try to keep that there. And that's in our message also we send out to the person was like, a lot of times Marshall and I will be in the video together and just kind of like, hey, I'm Dave. I was recommended. However, this is Marshall Tucker. This is the other guy. 15 people have dropped in there. So I want you to know that we work side by side, and our whole office right here is dedicated to making sure that your client is a great transformation to Austin. And so a lot of times we get that going. So I wanted to take the business. I recommend Marshall also. So you're definitely my referral partner now up in that area also.
Thanks.
You got it. So tell me a little bit more. So how else have you been able to stand out? What's your marketing plan like other than just going out in the face-to-face and meeting people? Do you do any kind of video, or you have a strong social media game also, or tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my professional social media handle is at Preview PDX. It's our airline, or it's our airport code. So Preview PDX Homes. And I'm really active on there, just kind of showing what I'm running into, selling real estate here in the area, new listings, things that my buyers are purchasing, as well as what's kind of going on in Portland. So huge foodie. We have a great food scene here. I know that you guys do down there as well. I was actually pretty flattered because Eater Austin recently followed me.
Nice.
And I love Eater Portland, Eater Austin. They're a big online kind of food blog. So that was kind of pretty special the other week. And so do a lot of, hey, this is what's happening in Portland type stuff. I also kind of not really a marketing thing, but a piece of my value proposition about why I'm different from your average real estate agent is that I'm super involved professionally with volunteer organizations. I've been part of the Women's Council of Realtors for 4 years. I've been on the board of directors for the Women's Council of Realtors here in Portland for 3 years. So I feel like professional volunteer work makes me a great advocate for my clients. I know what's going on. I'm really well versed in the industry and what we're seeing happen in the industry. And I know a lot of agents in the city, and I think that makes a huge difference when you have a large population of agents and you're showing properties of people that you know and people that you like and that trust you and know when you get an offer from them, it's going to be a good one and you'll be a good partner to work with. So I feel like that's really important. I'm a state director for the Oregon Association of Realtors, as well as I was recently asked to join the board of directors for our MLS, which serves the entire state of Oregon as well as Southwest Washington.
Oh, wow.
And there's 18 directors there. So and that kind of professional volunteer work, I think, makes me a really good advocate. And repeat that again and again. I just think it's an interesting piece of our industry that people don't take advantage of. And so I really try to dig into it.
Well, it sounds like you're doing a great job there. And I think the more that you volunteer, it does, the more you volunteer and the more that you get involved, it does convey when you do work with your clients. They see that you're not our industry seems to be filled with some folks, I would say, that are, fly-by-night agents. And totally. This is a big deal. When someone buys or sells or invests, it's a big deal. It ranks right up there with childbirth, really, or getting married. It's one of those things. So they really have to do they really have to trust you. And it sounds like you've done a great job about building that trust in your market and owning your market and getting more people to know and like, and it's certainly, it seems easy to trust you. So that definitely speaks volumes of you. So of course.
Well, the kind of work that we are entrusted to do, yes, it's fun, it's exciting, but it is very serious. And I want to respect the trust that we are given by our clients. By taking it very seriously. We're guiding them. We are the most important person in their life, often, aside from possibly a spouse, maybe more important than a spouse sometimes,
right.
Through this process. And it's always ranked up there as like kind of the most stressful things people ever do: childbirth, marriage, and like getting married and buying and selling real estate. So I want to make sure that, you know, what you get is somebody who's really looking out for you.
Certainly. Well, yeah. I certainly appreciate you giving us an insight of everything. I'll ask you a couple more questions, and then we'll transition to get you out of here. I know you're on your way to an appointment right now. So give me your goals for the rest of the year. I mean, it kind of dates the episode. However, you know, how do you want to finish out the year? We're sitting at, I guess, the 6-month marker. So we're at the 50-yard line of the year. How are you going to finish it out? What are there's some certain things you want to do every day that you're going to implement, and you said you did 40 transactions last year. You know, what's your transaction goal this year?
Yeah, so we are just about on par with where we were last year. We started a little bit slower because I was on vacation in January, so kind of was playing a little bit of catch up, but definitely catching up here by the end of June. And then really going into the second half of the year, it's being more disciplined with my schedule, with that, like that morning that I talked about with my perfect morning, making sure that I do that most days. It's not going to happen every day, but, you know, I know it makes me feel really good. So why not do it?
Right.
And then also the kind of proximity stuff that I was talking about earlier is going to do things that I like where I'll meet new people, finding out what are other things that I like. We recently bought a new house and we have a really big yard, and I don't know a whole lot about gardening, but there's some neighbors with beautiful yards around me. And I know there's some like gardening groups in my part of town. So like, going to meet people there, just be like, hey, this is something I'm interested in. You obviously are too. Like, let's build that relationship so that I stop killing everything in my yard. So
smart on two angles there. You know, the future,
yes, exactly.
The future relationships you can build with that. Yeah. And then keeping your yard nice and green. So perfect. Yeah. Well, tell everybody out there listening how we can get a hold of you up in Portland.
Yeah, this is Megan Jumago-Simpson with Keller Williams Portland Premier. My cell phone number is 503-804-4049. I answer pretty much all the time, and if I don't, it's because I'm dead. And then my email address is megan@previewpdx.com, and Instagram I'm at previewpdxhomes, and my website is meganjumago-simpson.com. You'll have to sound that out, and hopefully they link to it in the podcast description.
Of course. We'll make sure all your notes are in there, and then we'll tag it also on Facebook on the Top Shelf Media page, or I'm sorry, the Top Shelf Agents page.
Fantastic.
Perfect. Well, you've been an absolute pleasure to interview, and thank you very much for letting me into your business. Stick around for another episode of Real Estate on the Rocks. Will be one in about 8 seconds or so. I want to thank our sponsor, which is Mike Harrell with Guaranteed Rate. If you need to get in touch with Mike, you know the email, info@realestateontherocks.com. Join us over on Top Shelf Agents on Facebook or on Instagram. Don't forget to tag us, hashtag us, whatever it's called these days. I'm Dave Snowberger, and I'm out.